Okay, so we are ready for our next talk. So we have with us Stefanie Grundner. She works for the BSI, the German Federal Office for Information Security, and today she's gonna present us resilience in space from a German perspective. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Yeah, cybersecurity in the space sector has long been an overlooked issue. I think we can say that today. However, in the recent years and in the last decade, concerning incidents have raised awareness about these vulnerabilities. And in this response, BSI started an initiative with key space industry representatives to first raise the awareness to these vulnerabilities, but also to provide in the same time already first security recommendations and security requirements. We were here at CYSAT 2023 to introduce this initiative. We had then released, I think, the IT Grundschutz profile for the space segment. And we also learned and saw a substantial interest in this document. So we continued on and used the momentum to further develop the group. And yes, I would like to tell you about what happened during the last 2 years, what our achievements were within this initiative and within this working group. In 2023, right after CYSAT, we then released the technical guideline for the space segment. And the same year, BSI decided to expand the focus of the working group and added 3 more project groups and added a new title. So now we are called the Expert Group Cybersecurity in Space, and we are an integral part of the German Alliance for Cybersecurity. This initiative and this working expert group brings together even more key stakeholders now. We are about 80 participants across the industry, research organizations, as well as governmental bodies and agencies. Maybe I need to. Yeah. Which are including Airbus, OHB, Fraunhofer, TÜVIT, CGI, Infodas, the Jade University, and many other leading companies in that space sector. In 2024, we then released the IT Grundschutz profile for the ground segment. And we are now, just yesterday, right for the CYSAT, we released the technical guideline for the ground segment. You can all access these documents openly through the website, BSI website. And they are available in German and soon in English. I mean, 3 are already available in English. And the last one, we are still working on it, but we will provide it as soon as possible in English to you as well. These documents, we think they form now a robust foundation for addressing the unique cybersecurity challenges faced by space systems and operations. So why does industry participation matter? It matters quite big time. With this collaborative approach, we ensure that these documents are practical, they are and they are readily adoptable by the industry. They comprise wide-ranging experience from different industry players and multifaceted experience and best practice insights. So that's very important also to create a mutual friendly and sharing and trusting environment among all participants. With the numerous information security or security standards, you may be wondering, do we really need another standard? We believe the answer definitely and clearly is yes. We may not need necessarily another standard, but we definitely need more thinking and consideration in space-specific security. And what we do within the BSI-initiated working group is not create another standard, but use a existing and widely established, at least in Germany, established methodology, standard methodology, which is the IT Grundschutz, and apply it to space-specific challenges, characteristics, and environments. Importantly, these documents are designed to be scalable. They enable new companies to start implementing security requirements and security measures proportionate to their size and their capabilities. And we believe that information security must be recognized by all stakeholders, not an optional add-on, but an essential component of system development, space system development and operations. So what does this expert group actually do? We have 4 groups, I already mentioned, 4 project groups. The first group is the one identifying and developing these security recommendations and requirements and putting these into the documents. We have now 2 IT Grundschutz profiles for the ground segment. We have 2 profiles, one for the ground segment, one for the space segment, and we have a technical guideline as well for the ground segment and for the space segment. So the documents are segment specific, and they comprise the entire life cycle of the space system. They are, as already mentioned, available, openly available. And what it exactly means, IT Grundschutz profile and technical guideline, I will talk to you in a minute. I will explain to you in a minute. So group 2 is, we call it the International Standardization Group, is engaged and is monitoring international standardization initiatives like the ECSS, CCSDS, Sparta, IEEE NIST. They are engaged in these groups, and they also make sure that we in the group, we don't miss out major security requirements or threats. And we are also not proposing any conflicting or contradicting security requirements. And this group is also compiling an overview right now about the different standards and analyzing which threat of the one standard is actually corresponding to the threat in another standard. So we think this is a very helpful overview and list and mapping exercise to make sure that contractors overwhelmed with lots of security requirements do not do double work. So group 3's objective is to monitor the new developments within the space sector, and this not only from a technological point of view, but also from a business model, business concept, stakeholder point of view. So they analyze the new developments. They also analyze the risks that come with these new developments. And they also try to already provide solutions that may come with these new developments. Group 4 is the regulation group. They are developing a multi-level standardized security requirement scheme, of course, for space system, which could be implemented as a first step as a voluntary assurance level, like self-explanatory, self-committed assurance level, but also with higher protection being, of course, a real external and assurance level that is checked by other parties. Dual use is a big topic there as well, so this might also be a level of protection that they are looking into. In addition to that, the group is also right now examining ways on how to shape a regulatory framework for improved security in space by looking into future plans of regulations and draft of laws. And part of this group just started 2 weeks ago to actually look into the design of a concept for test procedures and methods to guarantee that space products actually are trustworthy and reliable. So these groups, they work very intense with each other, but they also support the other groups. So there's a lot of interaction and interchange going on, providing support, doing reviews, doing technological transfer inside and so on. So that's also a very big part of the expert group. So most of these groups, they meet weekly or bi-weekly. There's a plenary meeting twice a year. And I want to have to say that the platform actually is quite a democratic. It, above all, lives from the input and contribution and decisions of the participants. Okay, that's how the group works, the expert group Cybersecurity in Space works. Now, as I promised, I will tell you more about what we mean with IT Grundschutz profile and technical guideline. The IT Grundschutz profile basically defines a recommended minimum level of protection for the information security of the space system, as I said, throughout the entire life cycle. It's basically a manual supporting organizations in the implementation of security requirements, and can also be used as a shortcut for organizations to define their protection baseline. We typically would start with the IT Grundschutz profile. We would typically start with a structure analysis. That means the IT description of the information domain. We would use a typical example information domain of that system we are considering, like a satellite platform, for instance, or the ground segment. And we would then start to define the so-called business processes. We would use normally the life cycle phases to define the business processes. So the business processes would be called like conception and design, production, manufacturing, test, transport, operations, decommissioning. That would be a typical definition of our business processes. In the next step, we would then assign space system specific applications to this business processes. We would rather concentrate on the space system application than the general IT, which you can find in any company. Of course, we want to focus on the space specifics in our documents. We would then assign for each application the corresponding IT system or IT systems. And with that linkage and connection to the IT systems, we would then receive the so-called IT Grundschutz module. I probably have to explain that to you. IT Grundschutz module is elementary component of the IT Grundschutz methodology. And the neat thing about it is that it already brings the major and important security requirements with the model to secure the system, which is under consideration. So that's IT Grundschutz specific thing. But of course, I want to mention or emphasize that nobody is obliged to use the IT Grundschutz. The IT Grundschutz methodology is ISO compatible, so you can use any other methodology as well. But this is a nice thing to have, that with the module you already get the most important security requirements. So the profile basically helps the minimum protection to identify the minimum protection requirements for the space system. And so far, as said, we have published that for the space and for the ground segment. Space segment is rather focusing on the satellite platform. So the only thing the user has to do is to use our exemplary typical information domain description and adopt it to his actually system. To his actually payload, for instance, or ground segment. So in comparison to that, the technical guideline and allows the user to dive deeper into the security requirements and analyze and refine the recommendation security requirements in more detail. The technical guideline also draws on the structure analysis of the profile. And it also, in addition, the technical profile also contains a list of threats that we derive from literature, from other standards, from experience from the participants. So it's a quite comprehensive list of threats that we have included in the technical guideline, and as well a list of security measures that can be applied. Also, this list of security measures is derived through literature research, through other standardization activities, and through experience from the industry players. So what we do now with the list of threats and security controls measures. So first, any threat in the list is assigned to each application of the information domain of the structure analysis. And for each threat we assigned, we have maybe a list or at least one security measure assigned to that threat to mitigate the threat. So the result is actually a huge allocation table with the structure analysis, the business processes, the application, assigned threats, and their assigned security controls. So also here, the only thing the user has to do, the user of the documents has to do, is to adopt this structure analysis, this typical information domain, to his actual mission and to his actual system. So the extent to which the measure is actually implemented, the level of intensity the measure is implemented, this is up to the user, of course, depending on his protection level as well as on his accepted risk level. The document, the technical guideline, also explains how mission characteristics like orbit or purpose of the mission, size of the constellation affects security considerations. And it also includes selected scenarios, how to use the allocation table. And in general, the document supports the user in identifying the relevant threats and to formulate project-specific security requirements. So maybe have a little look into the future. What we are going to do next is, so we have basically focused on the space and the ground segment. We may either dive a little bit more into the payload now, going back to the space segment and consider the payload. Start segment could also be a possibility. So there is many ideas around what we are going to do next. We also promise to regularly update our documents on a bi-yearly basis. So we already started to update and revise the first documents. We also want to improve the applicability of the documents, especially for maybe newcomers on the security information field. And this is why we also want to engage more with the user community, user of our documents through workshops. Maybe through workshops, which is one, for instance, is today, this afternoon. You're most welcome to join us at 1:30 at the CYSAT Academy. We also doing events like this to introduce the approach to the community. And we also started to think about accompanying running projects and offer support and assistance in security recommendations and security support. We would love to see these initiatives more often, because we would like to reach out to these initiatives in order to also align cybersecurity approaches on a European or international level with international partners, and also facilitate the knowledge exchange and cooperation, and finally to harmonize technical standards and incorporate more practical implementation insights into these initiatives. I think, yeah, that's it. this is it. Thank you very much. Maybe you have some questions.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, Stefanie. Please, do you have questions? I start with the first one, and then I let you think about one. So you showed us the process of the production of these documents and how it's structured. Will these documents also becoming some sort of binding for companies that would like to work with the German government?
So far now we are trying to be very light and low level on the, so we still call it recommendations. But there may be groups like the test procedures group, and there may be other initiatives that will maybe create documents that will be more committing to industry players. But so far we are very friendly and and easy.
Okay, and what's about a different level of security? I can imagine that a satellite that is produced for an experiment in a university probably doesn't have to follow the same requirement of critical infrastructure. Do you address some kind of weights or priorities in the standard?
Yes, right now we leave it open to the user to implement these security requirements at the level and strength that he thinks is appropriate for his protection level. We also try to include also really low level opportunities for research companies, research organizations, for instance, to leave them enough freedom. But we also want to try to raise the awareness and to take also these lower level security organizations with us and help them to implement at least the top important priorities for security.
Thank you. We have other questions. Yeah.
Hello. My question has to do with classified information. Does this methodology takes into account the protection of classified information in satellites?
We do. I mean, there is chapters for cryptographic communication, for instance, but maybe somebody from the expert group can help me out here.
Hello, I'm also part of the expert group. Indeed, that's more for commercial purposes. And in our opinion, if you have a project with classified information, you are in the governmental or military area, and they have their own requirements for that. So that's for space companies, commercial research. Some military operations could adopt that, but makes the level a little bit higher.
It could be a mix between the regulation of classified information with these recommendations, maybe?
It's possible in the next future, yeah. So we update every document approximately all 2 years and check if we have to do some more input in it. And it could be an additional chapter, for example.
Okay, thank you.
So we prepared a few questions to the audience because we wanted to know what your priorities would be and what would be the next step you would foresee as what we should focus on. So how does it work? The questions will be shown here on the screen. Ah, yeah. So yeah, we would be interested to know whether you actually use security standards in your processes, in your company, organization. Yes or no? Wow. Maybe the ones that don't, they didn't answer. Okay, that's it. Okay, another question, I think.
Okay, let me see. There's a spinning wheel.
It's a good sign or a bad sign? Okay, yeah. So which standards do you use for those who actually use standards? ECSS, ISO, CCSDC, Sparta, NIST, IT Grundschutz, of course. The methodology. Okay, interesting. Ah, okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, in one word, which part or component or security object would be of most interest to you in terms of security requirements or standards? So that can be, you can be very broad, like space or satellite or payload or platform or ground segment or link segment. Okay. Thank you very much. That's very interesting. That will give us an idea where we're getting for the next presentation in 2 years. Thank you very much. I think that's the question. Yeah, right. That's the most important question. Have you come across any gaps in the standards you are using? Yes or no? Okay, so there's more work for us to do, we see. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot one more time.